Well, today's going to be a spicy one. We have Vanderpump Rules alum Brittany Cartwright that's coming out swinging against RFK Jr. about autism and Tylenol because suddenly she's an expert. Plus, we have Jimmy Kimmel who's made his official return to late night. We'll get into it. I hope you're ready for it. Let's dive in, everybody. Let's get it. This is No Filter with Zack Peter, your go-to source for all the latest pop culture and reality TV tea, serve fresh all week long. Now, let's dive in. What's up, guys? Welcome on in, welcome on in, welcome on in. What's today? Happy Wednesday. It is hump day. Happy hump day. Hope you get hump today. Hey. What's up, guys? Just a reminder that if you like No Filter with Zack Peter, we stream live Monday through Friday. Right now, we are currently streaming live on YouTube and on X. This is the first time we're streaming live on X. So moving forward, we will continue to stream live on X. Very excited to now have it available streaming on YouTube and X and available on Spotify, Apple, and all your favorite podcast platforms. And if you want ad-free, then you can go to Supercast. We have a new No Filter All Access where you get ad-free plus bonus episodes throughout the week. So go to nofilterwithzack.com if you want to sign up. You can sign up on Supercast. It's kind of like Patreon, but it's called Supercast, and my specific membership is called No Filter All Access. You get access to the Zactivated Tour. You get access to bonus episodes and daily episodes with ad-free episodes. So go right now, go to No Filter with Zack. Zack is Z-A-C-K, nofilterwithzack.com if you want to become a member of No Filter All Access, or there's a link in the description below. Be sure to hit the like button and hit the subscribe button if you're enjoying the show so far. We have a lot that we will be getting into, so strap in. The last 24 hours, so much has come out. Kimmel has returned to late night, which we'll get into. We also have Brittany Cartwright from The Valley and formerly of Vanderpump Rules. She's come out swinging against the current administration regarding Tylenol and autism. So there's a lot that we will be getting into. I don't even know where to start. I didn't even know what to start with. I'm going to try my best to try to stay level-headed in this episode. Lord knows this morning I've had multiple pop-offs. Luckily, I went to Orange Theory this morning. I was like, I just need to run. I just need to get all the adrenaline out of my body and hopefully come into this clear-headed. I've thought about a million things that I want to say on the show today, but I'm going to try to come into this episode with an open heart. I hope you meet me with an open heart and hopefully an open ear. I hope that we can come together and just have a positive, productive conversation. I hope you understand where I'm coming from. I'm trying to understand where people on the other side of where I stand are coming from as well. It's a little challenging, but I'm trying to remember my message. What was it, last week or the week before, right after the Charlie Kirk assassination, where I was like, we just need to come at it with active love, understanding, compassion, understanding that people are only operating from their own, their own lens, their own viewpoints, their own perspectives, their own past conditioning. It's just been really challenging because I feel like it's so divisive and people are digging their heels in more and more into this tribalism that does not make any sense to me. And I know a lot of people are like, well, can't we just get back to talking about Blake Lively? And I'm just like, yes, when there's something interesting to talk about Blake Lively, I'm the first one to throw the first stone. But there just hasn't been a whole lot of newness aside from like the Taylor Swift and the guy that got arrested for hopping the fence at 2 a.m., which is still a weird story. And I don't even know what's going on with that or where that's at. But yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I guess Kim Kardashian, congrats to her. She was just on the French cover of Vogue, the Paris cover of Vogue, which I thought she looked incredible on. She came out and she said that this is the first time she's ever felt confident in her life because before she's always deferred to somebody else to, help her make whatever decision that she felt was right. People are seemingly thinking that this is a dig at Kanye West because he had his new documentary that just dropped, and there have been a number of different clips that have been circulating online from the documentary about like the way he speaks to her and the way he was screaming at her and the way he's like yelled at Kris Jenner. And so, it's interesting. I do feel bad for Kim, and people are like now resharing old clips from Keeping Up with Kardashians and from the Kardashians on Hulu, where she talks about how difficult it was in her marriage and she was trying to protect him. And now we really see how much she was trying to protect him. And it's crazy that the last, 6 years of their life has been fully documented and filmed, and you're seeing it all play out in his documentary, which I don't think is having the same effect that he was expecting it to have when, he decided to release this documentary. So, oh no, guys, I don't know. Here, this is what I will say. We're going to do an ad break. So I will just play the ads now so that we can get through the rest of the episode. And have this full conversation. So I'm just warning you, we're going to play all this week's sponsored messages up front. Normally we wait till like a little closer to the middle of the show, but I figured let's just get through the sponsors now, which I'm very grateful for. Very grateful to the Upside app, the DraftKings app, and Soul CBD. I think they're incredible sponsors. I'm so grateful to have their support. So if you do feel inclined, I encourage you, if you're a CBD or a THC consumer, I encourage you to check out the out-of-office gummies from Soul. Or if you like savings, I encourage you to check out the Upside app. And if you like playing games on your mobile apps, then I definitely check out DraftKings Casino. We're going to play their ads, and then we will get into the meat of the show because there's a lot of it. All right, first up, Upside. All right, listen up. Fall is here. And with it comes back to school rush, right? Early morning drop-offs, after school activities, football games, those last-minute supply runs. And let's not forget the extra trips to the grocery stores, coffee, and gas as the days get busier. It all adds up so fast. But with the free Upside app, there's an easy way to earn real cash back every time you fill up your tank, grab a bite to eat, or stock up on essentials. Okay, I'm telling you right now, I just downloaded it. I went to Zinke here in downtown. It's one of my favorite go-tos, and I found them on the Upside app. I was like, ooh, what restaurants are around here? Where can I eat and get some money back? And I was like, oh, what? Zinke? My go-to is on here. Not only that, they have 6% cash back. 6% cash back. I mean, I go there so often. I mean, hello, the savings are endless. Am I right? The free Upside app gets you cash back on daily essentials like gas, grocery, and dining. And there are over 100,000 gas stations, grocery stores, and restaurants on the Upside app, ensuring the cash back is always just around the corner. And yes, it is real cash back. No confusing rewards or points or credits, just actual money that you can transfer straight to your bank account, right? Claim an offer for what you're buying on Upside, then pay as you usually do with a credit or debit card. Follow the steps in the app and get paid. People can earn 3 times more cash back with Upside than any other product. This includes loyalty programs and credit card rewards. I'm telling you, this is the app. I love the Upside app because I get to save on all of my favorite purchases. Upside has given back $1 billion to its users. To find out how much you could earn, download the free Upside app and use the promo code NOFILTER to get an extra 25 cents back for every gallon on your first tank of gas. That's an extra 25 cents back for every gallon on your first tank of gas with the Upside app. Use promo code NOFILTER. Listen up, because DraftKings Casino has your playbook for gaming action all season long. Play thousands of popular slots for a shot at jackpots. Over $400 million has already been awarded, okay? New players get 500 spins on Huff and More Puff over 10 days. Download the app and use code NOFILTER to claim your spins after your first $5 wager. Get in the game with DraftKings Casino, home of the largest jackpot win in online casino history. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. 21 plus. Physically present in Connecticut, Michigan, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, void in Ontario. Eligibility restrictions apply. New customers only. Non-withdrawable casino spins issued as 50 spins per day for 10 days. Valid for featured game only and expire each day after 24 hours. See terms at casino.draftkings.com/promos. Promo ends October 5th, 2025 at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. Listen, I still love a good night out, but I'm not always in the mood to drink anymore. Luckily, I found a great alternative, and that's Sol's Out of Office Gummies. They give you that same light, happy buzz without the hangover. There's no sugar, and you're definitely not left with an awkward next morning. Sol is a wellness brand that believes feeling good should be fun and easy. Sol specializes in delicious hemp-derived THC and CBD products designed to boost your mood and help you unwind. Their best-selling Out of Office Gummies were designed to provide a mild, relaxing buzz, boost your mood, and enhance creativity and relaxation. With 5 different strains, you can tailor the dose to fit your vibe, from a gentle 1.5 milligram microdose to their newest 15 milligram gummy for a more elevated experience. You know what I'm saying? I love a good vibe. I love a good, whether it's an evening or it's a weekend, especially in the summer, bring on the good vibes and treat yourself to Sol today. Right now, Sol is offering my audience, that's you right now, listening or watching this, 30% off your entire order. That's 30% off. Go to getsol.com and use the code NOFILTER. That's getsol, S-O-U-L, getsol.com, and use the promo code NOFILTER for 30% off. All right, let's dive into it. Let's start with Jimmy Kimmel, because that's the one story that we've been following for quite a minute. Jimmy Kimmel has officially made his return to late night, everybody. Jimmy Kimmel is, guess who's back, back again. Kimmel's back, Kimmel's back, Kimmel's back. Made his triumphant return. Obviously, we know last week he was temporarily suspended, taken off the air, when Sinclair and Nexstar decided to halt his show, or they decided to not air his show on their local stations. And this prompted ABC and Disney to pull Kimmel and have a conversation with him and try to discuss things behind closed doors and hopefully find some sort of conclusion that would allow him to come back on the air. Now, he came back on the air, very anticipated. Sinclair and Nexstar did not air his broadcast last night on their networks. I believe they own 60 different stations throughout the US. I believe they only make up about 25% of the stations here in the US, but it was a pretty big, bold move for them to make. And the fact that they did not air his show in spite of that, I think has a lot to say. I know there's a lot of speculation with people being like, oh, well, this was obviously influenced by Trump, or this was influenced by the FCC. And I've said it before, I will say it again. I think the FCC dude, Carr, I think he was an idiot for what he said on that podcast, but I don't think that was necessarily, I think that's a convenient motivation that people want to throw out there, but I don't think that he was the one I don't think he has absolute control over the FCC, and I don't believe that was something that was influenced by Trump. I know people will say, oh, Zack, don't be so naive. There was a deal that they wanted to go through, and they're trying to make sure they secure that deal. Again, I want to remind everybody that's what we call in the court of law speculation. And unless you have actual cold, hard proof of it, which maybe we will, maybe we won't, that's something to study down the line, kind of like yesterday's show where we showed how the Biden administration had heavily pressured and influenced, what was it, Meta, Twitter, and now Alphabet, which is the parent company of Google and YouTube. They've all come out now and said that the Biden administration encouraged them or pressured them to go against their own community guidelines and to censor people on their platforms. So that is a real threat to free speech that nobody wants to talk about. But sure, let's keep talking about Jimmy Kimmel, right? Let's talk about the rich comedian that has a TV show, and let's talk about what he said. So I think he opened it, his monologue last night, I think he opened it very well. And he seemed to show some sort of remorse. He seemed also, I want to say this too, guys, because I know there's going to be a lot of people going back and forth in the live chat. Please be respectful. We're going to have differences of opinions. We're going to disagree. Don't fight with each other. Don't curse at each other. Don't throw shots at each other. Let's try to be understanding that we're all here because I'm hoping that we want to have an open dialogue about these topics. They're going to be heavy. They're going to be hard to discuss, and it's not always going to be a comfortable conversation. You're allowed to have your opinions, but do not demonize, ostracize, condemn, ridicule anybody else for having their opinions. Please allow everybody to have their opinions. And hopefully by having this conversation and having this dialogue, we can find some more common ground. Okay. So Jimmy Kimmel went on. He got very emotional. He talked about, how his message was received. And that's I picked up on that. He was emotional, so it kind of felt like maybe there was some true remorse in his sentiment. But the interesting thing is he kept making the apology, the quote unquote apology, which it was not an apology, and he made it clear that he was not going to apologize. But there was a sentiment of, him reacting to people that may have taken his words differently than how he meant them. It's like that. I'm sorry you felt that way type of apology is what it felt like. I'm sorry you received my words that way. I'm sorry that you thought I said this when I didn't actually say that, which I felt was a bit contradictory, not just to the message that got him suspended, but to the consistent messages that he's put out on his talk show for years now, right? At least the last 5-6 years. I mean, I first started paying more attention to them back in 2020, the COVID era, right? And so the thing with Kimmel is he has consistently put out this type of messaging. So it wasn't hard for people to kind of put the pieces together of what he was saying when he was referencing Charlie Kirk's assassination. And that's basically that, the shooter, Tyler Robinson, was MAGA, and that MAGA was trying to do everything they can to distance themselves from him because they don't want to accept reality. That was what he was inferring. Okay. That's basically what he was saying. People were upset that he was making light of a political assassination. And people are like, well, Charlie Kirk wasn't a politician. He was a political activist, and he had a very influential group at Turning Point USA. He was very politically active. He often debated with politicians. He often spoke at, political events where he would share his perspective. He was constantly trying to have open debates and dialogues with people that disagreed with him, and was always giving people a platform on his show to be able to share their opinions. He even just recently did an interview with Gavin Newsom on Gavin Newsom's new podcast, because now Gavin Newsom is progressive, right? It's funny. Gavin Newsom was pushing he was selling his merch yesterday, and he was like, oh, I'm really good at predictions. And that's how I knew that this hat would be such a hit, where it says Newsom was right about everything. And he's like, I'm good at predictions. And that's how I knew that this hat was going to be a hit. And I was like, wow, for someone that's so good at predictions, you couldn't have predicted that the Palisades was going to burn to the ground? Huh. Funny how that works. You and your predictions. Keep looking into that crystal ball, Gavin Newsom. Seems to be working out well for you. I'll see you at the 2028 election. That said, I liked that. I think Kimmel started his monologue off well, and I was believing it, and I was buying into it, and I was pleasantly surprised until it took a hard right, and it very quickly pivoted back into his political pandering. Right. He then went immediately, the tears dried up very quickly, and then he went right back into, being critical of the administration, which is absolutely his right. I believe in his free speech to do that. But I'm also just like, okay, time and place, dude. Like, this is your first time back. I understand that you're trying to make a statement to your liberal audience. You're going to stand firm in your beliefs. And I think, fine, cool, got it. But also, couldn't you just take one day off? Just one day, But it's like, no, I said my words. I gave you 1 minute. 1 minute. Okay. I gave you 1 minute where I acted sorry, and I gave you some tears, and that should be enough. And now let me go on a 6-minute rant where I basically discard that 1 minute apology that I gave you, right? 6-7 minute rant about, whatever else I want to talk about in my opening monologue. And granted, this is his show, and he's free to do that. And I defend his free speech. However, just because you have free speech doesn't mean you shouldn't have tact, doesn't mean you shouldn't read the room. You're allowed to say whatever you want, but some things you shouldn't say, right? Like there are just some things, like there's some intrusive thoughts that you keep in your head. Maybe there are some things that you say that may come off offensive to somebody if you say them to their face. Like if you're like, hey, Brenda, that outfit is really ugly and you look fat today. Hey, maybe I shouldn't say that. Like maybe that's not a nice thing to say. Yes, I have the free speech to be able to say that, but maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I should read the room. Maybe I should be nice to Big Back Brenda, So I think that we didn't need to go into his political rant. It took away from the sincerity of his message. And then it kind of just brought me back to this place of like, well, look at Jimmy Kimmel and look at his history. Like, let's look at Roseanne Barr and ABC, right? Roseanne Barr was barred from ABC. She wanted to apologize for what she did. She said that it was a mistake. She was on, what did she say? She was on Ambien. She was on something. And she said that she tweeted was a mistake. She didn't realize that there was a racial undertone in her tweet, and she wanted to apologize for it. She wanted to find a way to give some sort of act of contrition to save her show and to save the jobs of everybody that were working for the Roseanne reboot at the time. Jimmy Kimmel was very much in favor of Roseanne Barr being canceled and ostracized and cut out of Hollywood. He was a big proponent of that, as he was when Tucker Carlson was fired from Fox. Let's be very clear. Jimmy Kimmel loved cancel culture. Jimmy Kimmel was a big fan of cancel culture until cancel culture came back to bite him in the butt, right? And I've been critical of people on the right that are parading his cancellation. I've said I don't think he deserves to be canceled. I think a suspension was warranted, and I think he should have made an apology. Not a forced apology, but I think he should have come to the realization that what he said, maybe it was the wrong time, the wrong place, the wrong sentiment, the wrong tone, and acknowledge that, hey, there's a mourning family. There's a wife that is going to bed without a husband and a father to tuck in his 2 babies now. As a father himself, Jimmy Kimmel, I thought, would have had a little more decorum and level of awareness to be able to at least acknowledge that and to at least issue maybe not an apology to the American people, because that's fine, whatever, but at least an apology to Erica Kirk, right? At least an apology to his family to say, hey, I'm sorry I took something very traumatic in your life. Didn't even give it, a full week, but I took something that was very traumatic for our country and for you personally, and I decided to make it the butt of a joke while also trying to make a political statement that it's your side, the right, the MAGAs, you are the ones that caused this, right? He was placing blame, he was pointing fingers, and it just wasn't the time or place. It was in poor timing and poor messaging, and just, again, not the time or the place. And I was not that I had high hopes for him to come on and really take accountability and show some remorse or anything, but I don't know. I expected something, anything, and he gave us a little bit. And now people just want to so easily forgive him. And I'm like, but wait, when has he ever shown anybody that grace? When has the left wants to move on so easily and be like, it's done, freedom of speech, when you didn't give a shit about freedom of speech for the last 5-6 years, okay? And then some. You didn't care about freedom of speech then. You didn't care about freedom of speech yesterday when Alphabet, the parent company of Google and YouTube, came out and said that the Biden administration had pressured them to censor people on their platforms. Where's your freedom of speech talk now? Huh? Oh, that we don't care about that freedom of speech. We only care about freedom of speech when it's an elite person in Hollywood that is on the left. As long as he's Democrat, we can give them forgiveness. As long as you're a Democrat, we can give you a little bit of grace. God forbid you're a little conservative. God forbid you're even a moderate. If you're not in the Democratic cults, then we're automatically not going to give you an ounce of grace. Roseanne Barr was not given the same grace, and she was fired by ABC. And people are like, well, that's different. But the difference, yeah, it is different between Roseanne Barr and Jimmy Kimmel, because Roseanne Barr was willing to admit her faults and apologize. And she wasn't given that opportunity. She wasn't given a chance to go on any ABC affiliated show to give an interview to be able to explain her side. And listen, I don't endorse her tweet. I'm not, but again, freedom of speech, right? All you freedom of speech crusaders, you should be able to allow her to say her freedom of speech. Oh, but when it's something that you don't like, you then call it hate speech. You pick and choose when these terms are applicable, and you pick and choose when you give people grace. And at this point, it's so hypocritical. The hypocrisy in it is astounding to me, because we dig our heels into this. And so many people are like, let's just move on. Jimmy, he acknowledged Erica Kirk, and he acknowledged that what he said wasn't meant to ostracize people, and let's just move on. It's like, but why do we have to just move on? Why? This man does not have any remorse. He does not care. And the double standards are astounding to me, because I'm tired of grace. I was like, yeah, I'm going to give him grace after watching this. And I was like, yeah, I really liked this 1-minute clip that the media is circulating right now, where it was heartfelt and yada, yada, yada. But then you see the full monologue and you're like, wait a minute. What? Huh? What? And listen, I try very hard to come on here and to give grace and to try to, and I'm happy that Jimmy acknowledged it. I just am so tired of the fact that there were so many people, myself, okay, let's just put myself into this. Yes, to make it about me, because it is my show. I have absolutely been ostracized and cut off by friends. I walk into some of these events sometimes, and I know if I said something that was remotely against the Democratic cult messaging, right, the Democratic dogma, if I, God forbid, say anything, I can be critical of Trump, I can be critical of the right, I can be critical of MAGA, I can be critical of all that, and that's okay. And then I can walk into those same rooms and be embraced and be like, oh, look at you, good for you, blah, 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 look at that. It's all virtue signaling, right? But God forbid I say anything that goes against against the Democratic dogma, and I walk into those same rooms and those same events, and people will walk the other way. They will not look me in the eye. They don't want to say hello to me. I've been there too many times. I've had friends in my own life that have ostracized me and cut me off because I happen to have backed RFK Jr. or I don't know. I've questioned certain things about the Democratic Party, even though I was very much a Democrat prior to all this. And that's not to say that I'm not. I don't know where I stand. But I'm not MAGA and I'm not Republican. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that either. I'm just saying I don't know where I stand. I don't have a political identity. All I have is me and my own morals and my own values, and I'm doing the best I can, right? But the interesting thing to me is just the hypocrisy of it all. You know, we're so quick to forgive Jimmy Kimmel, and yet Roseanne Barr is still canceled to this day. ABC literally gave Jimmy Kimmel his show back without an apology, and Roseanne Barr, who was willing to apologize, couldn't even get her show back. No, they bullied her into signing over the rights so that they could create The Conners without Roseanne Barr, even though it's capitalizing off of the hard work that she created on a show that she created, about a show that was very diverse, a show that had always been so progressive. Roseanne Barr is one of the most progressive voices that we've had on television when the original Roseanne was airing, and continued to push that conversation, right? She even tackled the election head on by having family members of the Connor family that were Democrat and left leaning, and then that were Republican and Trump supporting, right? Like, she did that to represent and reflect where the country was at. And yet here we are, still canceled, still ostracized by Hollywood, but Jimmy Kimmel gets to take a few days off, and then suddenly he's allowed back just because he gave us a half apology for 1 minute, followed by a 6-minute political rant. It's fucking bullshit. Nobody was watching Jimmy Kimmel before. They're probably not going to continue watching it after a week. You'll have a few of those diehards that are loyal and put them on their DVR for the next week or so. It's going to fall off. I've already predicted what's going to happen. It's going to fall off. Jimmy's going to end his contract next year. Kimmel's going to launch a podcast or do some new deal with the streamer. He's going to say he left ABC. He's grateful for the time he had, but it's time for him to take on bigger projects. And he doesn't want to feel confined by the shackles of cancel culture and all that shit. So, yeah. C. Ches, I see you keep popping off in the live chat. I said Zack is very afraid to admit he's MAGA. I'm not MAGA though. Like, why do I have to be MAGA to make sense in your pea brain head? Why is it that I have to be MAGA? Why isn't it that I can't just be a free thinker? I've never worn a MAGA hat. I've never used the words "Make America." If anything, you can say that I am more Maha than MAGA. Being MAGA is an insult now? No, it's not an insult. I don't think it's an insult. I think you use it as an insult. I think you weaponize it against people as an insult. But I'm just saying, it's not. If it's like if you came on here and called me a redhead, I'd be like, I'm not a fucking redhead. Why are you calling me a redhead? My hair is clearly dark. It's not red. So that's what I mean. If you want to call me Maha, you can call me Maha. If you want to call me an RFK Jr. supporter, I've known that man for many, many years and have been on the groundwork helping families with autism with RFK Jr. for many, many years. So you can call me an RFK Jr. supporter, and I'm sure there'll come a whole connotation of negative terms that you can throw at me with that. But I don't identify with the term MAGA because that's not something that resonates with me. I don't even know what that word means anymore or what that term means anymore because so many people have so many different definitions of what that means. To some people, it means fighting for our liberties. And to other people, it means that you're a racist fascist. So sorry if I'm not going to adopt a term that I don't even know what that term means to you, but you're clearly trying to use it as some sort of insult. So if you want to call me Maha, go for it. Hashtag Maha me all the way up the coochie, right? All the way up Brigitte Macron's coochie. Go for it. MAGA is not an insult unless you're choosing to use it as an insult. But, you know, good for you. But if you... whatever makes you feel validated in your feelings, my love, you do you. Clearly nuance and complexity and layers and context are not something that matter to you, but thank you for sharing your opinion. Sarah says, make America gag again. Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, MAGA could mean make America gag again. Gag and swallow. Swallow that. Gobble me, swallow me, drip down the side of me, quick jump out for you, let it get inside of me. Tell Tell 'em what about to be. Talk yo, talk yo, no, 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 We need Maha hats now, Zack. Um, I mean, if you want to do Maha hats, I've never denied being Maha. Um, so yeah. But yeah, those are my thoughts about Kimmel. I think it's contradictory. I think it's hypocritical, and I'm kind of over it, you know? But I mean, whatever. Kimmel will go on. He'll live his life. He'll have his show. He'll have his supporters. He'll probably lean more into politics coming in 2026. I'm sure he'll be a big voice for the Democratic Party in 2028 for that election. I'm sure he's going to try to rebrand himself as a Democratic Joe Rogan, which is also quite hypocritical and laughable because you already had a Democratic Joe Rogan and his name was Joe Rogan. But there's a reason you're getting so many people that used to be so unapologetically Democratic and on the left that have now come into the center or fully gone into the right because at this point they're tired of, you know, tired of the hypocrisy. They're tired of the double standards. They're tired of the canceling. They're tired of, the people that want to throw whatever labels they want to throw at you. So, you know, whatever. Okay. Let's move on over to the Tylenol of it all. Let's do it. Because Brittany Cartwright, so to get back into reality TV land, to get back into the reality TV world, Brittany Cartwright, now that Donald Trump and RFK Jr. have come out and said that there's a possibility that autism could be linked to Tylenol use while women are pregnant. So Brittany Cartwright decided to comment and to post about this. And so this is what she decided to write. She said, Brittany Cartwright is from Vanderpump Rules and currently on The Valley on Bravo. Brittany said, autism was recorded before Tylenol was ever invented. There are many children on the autism spectrum who never had vaccines or whose mothers didn't take Tylenol while pregnant. The word virtually is used many times here because there are obviously still cases of autism in those communities as well. I'm thankful autism is being looked into and hopefully someday we can learn more, but our children are wonderful and deserve better than misinformation by our own government. And then Stassi Schroeder, her former co-star, commented with 4 clapping emojis. So let's get into this. Which, by the way, ever since Trump and RFK came out with this Tylenol thing, now we have women that are literally chugging bottles of Tylenol, pregnant women that are going on TikTok to do some sort of, to make some sort of statement out of spite for the current administration, which is laughable because there's this tweet, and this is a screenshot that I personally took to verify that this tweet was real from Tylenol, posted on March 7th, 2017 at 11:31 a.m. Pacific. Tylenol tweeted out, we actually don't recommend using any of our products while pregnant. Thank you for taking the time to voice your concerns today. What? Tylenol doesn't recommend that you take Tylenol while pregnant? And they said this not in 2025 during Trump's administration. Oh, they said this in 2017. Interesting. So all these women that want to make a statement and chug Tylenol on TikTok because you want to make a point, maybe if you don't want to listen to Trump or RFK, maybe listen to Tylenol themselves. Or better yet, if you don't want to listen to Tylenol themselves because you want to stand in your moral high ground, why don't you listen to these studies? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 studies right here that I'm putting for you on the screen. Look at this, from PubMed, from Pediatrics, from the NIH, from Harvard, from Mount Sinai. Here you go. ResearchGate, from UPI. There you go. The University of Washington School of Medicine. Here you go. People want studies. People want references. Trump and RFK didn't just pull this out of their ass. They actually came from studies. And this is a conversation. This is where I want to get back to Brittany Cartwright, because this is a much bigger conversation about Tylenol. But I did find this meme funny. This is from What I Mean to Say on X. They posted this and they said, new pride flag just launched. And it's the ugly pride flag that launched in 2025. But they added a bottle of Tylenol on it because, literally, that's probably what's going to come next. Tylenol on the new pride flag. But getting back to Brittany Cartwright, right? Because she's saying that we deserve better than misinformation by our own government. I'm going to try very hard to not get angry and to not get emotional because I understand that Brittany Cartwright is a mother. I have an immense amount of respect for her journey with an autistic son, with a son that has autism. I have an immense amount of love and respect that I'm sending to her because that is not an easy journey. Okay. And so I want to say that what's about to come out of my mouth is going to be said very respectfully. Okay. Brittany Cartwright, while I think she was well intentioned, I think she is. This disappoints me because this conversation about Tylenol, very similar to all of these studies. And look at these studies. That tweet from Tylenol was from 2017. If you actually look at some of these studies here, it's 2023, 2022. So these are not new. 2017. This one is from 2021. This one from Simone Olivero is from 2016. So you have this one in PubMed was published in 2016. Look at that. This one's March 2017. So this isn't a new conversation. And this isn't a conversation that RFK suddenly just decided to bring up out of the blue, or something that Trump was sitting at his desk doodling and decided, hey, I'm just going to, today we're going to attack Tylenol. That's not what happened. That's not the case. Okay. This has been a conversation that many moms of children with autism have been trying to have for 20 years. Okay. 20 years they've been trying to push forth this conversation, which is why to me it was so disheartening to see Brittany Cartwright come out here and condemn this as misinformation without bothering to look into any of this, number one. And number two, when you come out here and you dismiss this as misinformation, right? And you say, oh, well, autism was recorded before Tylenol was ever invented. Sure, but they didn't say Tylenol is the cause of autism. They said Tylenol could be a contributing factor if women take it while pregnant, a contributing factor to autism. Very different from saying Tylenol causes autism. I believe there are a number of things that cause autism. I believe there's a genetic component to it. There's a genetic susceptibility and there's an environmental trigger. That's something that has been said by these moms for over 20 years now. Right? That's a conversation that we've been trying to have in this country for a long time, but every previous administration has gaslit these mothers and has invalidated them. Once called them refrigerator moms and said that it was their fault that their kids had autism because they just weren't paying enough attention to them. But this is the history that people like Brittany Cartwright don't know about. This is the history that they don't care to question or talk about. They would just immediately use their political position to dictate whether or not they take new information and determine whether or not that information is good information or misinformation. Again, if you do your fucking research, you'll find that this has been a conversation that has been had for many years. And the part that upsets me about this the most, and again, I say this very respectfully, but my deeper respect is for the moms that have been silenced and shushed into the corners because their children have profound autism, like my brother who has profound autism. Brittany Cartwright is out here invalidating their experience. What happened to believing women? Oh, but we want to believe women until it's a woman that says something that we don't like. And then, let's send her back into the kitchen. We want to say the Republicans want to send women, you want to shun women, but it's like, no, we only believe women when it's convenient for our political brownie points. So labeling this as misinformation rather than new information is so disrespectful to all of those moms that are out there. And I had them go on my Instagram and share their stories because I've spent hours on the phone with these moms. For people that don't know my background prior to podcasting, not only do I have a brother with profound autism who's now 23 years old, but I have spent the last 17 years fundraising outside of my own experience with my family and my brother, 17 years volunteering, fundraising, raising millions of dollars to help families, not for fictitious, self-serving purposes, but so the money that was raised would go directly to families that were impacted by autism that needed resources. We paid for doctor's visits with autism specialists, lab testing, nutritional counseling. We gave them a plethora of scientifically backed supplements, right? Like omega-3s, which are great for brain health. Probiotics and digestive enzymes, because when you look into the comorbid conditions associated with an autism diagnosis, you'll notice a lot of these individuals have a lot of gut issues. So yeah, probiotics and digestive enzymes are super helpful. And now you see probiotics on every shelf in a CVS or in a Target or wherever you go. Probiotics have become so common, right? But yet we forget that 15, 20 years ago, when these moms were talking about probiotics, they were called quacks. They were called science deniers. They wanted to have a conversation about vaccines. And because they dared to question that protocol, which that's a whole other conversation for another day, but because they dared to question that protocol, we're suddenly called baby killers. It's sick what these moms have had to go through. And now we finally, and I know it's hard for some people to really comprehend and digest, but now we finally have an administration that's willing to talk about these things, an administration that's willing to investigate these things, because we realize how much chronic illness has blown up in our country. And rather than people listening or trying to have a dialogue about this, people like Brittany Cartwright are going on the internet and immediately condemning this as misinformation, or even worse, going on TikTok and chugging bottles of Tylenol, which, again, let me remind you, was advised against by Tylenol themselves. But we're trying to spite this current administration, when this is the only administration that's been willing to stop gaslighting these moms and be willing to listen. I see them, I hear them. I've spent countless days with them, and hours on the phone talking to them, and face-to-face conversations with them, and listening to their concerns, because their voices matter. Their babies matter. And their babies are often shunned and forgotten by the rest of the world because it's uncomfortable. It's not Love on the Spectrum. It's not The Good Doctor. It's not Atypical, right? Those are digestible cases of autism. Those are the types of autism that people like because it's so cute. We see people with autism falling in love on the Spectrum. And not that I don't think that that's great, but I'm just saying there's an entire collection of people that are on the profound side of autism that get shunned and outcast and forgotten because their stories aren't cute, right? Their experiences aren't cookie cutter cute ones that we can package together on a feel good television show, but their lives are real. Their stories are important, and their voices deserve to be heard. Okay? So don't mom shame or invalidate their experiences. And I know Stassi and Brittany are new moms, and I give them grace for that. But I'm just saying, especially within this autism community, these moms will embrace you. They will take you in. They will make you all the granola you need for the long hike ahead. They are the crunchy granola moms that will spend hours and hours and hours digging through studies and researching things, that have a plethora of doctors on speed dial, that go to all of these medical conferences and will sit down with these doctors and talk to them for hours, and will read book after book after book to try and consume as much information because their babies matter to them so much. And listen, these are the moms that put down the foundation for where we are in our country today when it comes to this MAHA movement, right? Where you see probiotics mainstream in every aisle, in every store, on Target and CVS and all that, because they were fighting for the importance of probiotics. Or like right now, functional mushrooms are like really popular, and everyone's taking ashwagandha now. And I'm just like, shit, I was taking ashwagandha 15 years ago when it was quackery. That's what it was called, quackery. That was the term before science deniers or anti-science or whatever. Those were the terms that were used before. But now we're finally having this conversation. And there's nothing wrong with having this conversation. Let's be very clear. We should have this conversation. We should dig deeper into the potential causes of autism. But just because it comes from somebody you don't like, because your tribalism is blinding you from seeing that maybe there's a solution here, it's so crazy to me. It really is tribalism. And the unfortunate part is you see a lot of these MAHA moms who, again, don't identify with the MAGA, connotation, that really had to sit with this, and that were really, uncertain if they wanted to stay true to their liberal values, or maybe find themselves somewhere in the middle where they voted for somebody that they never thought they would have ever considered voting for. Because, here's the thing. There's so many people that ask me why I voted for Trump. That wasn't an easy decision for me. But people want to come in here and call me MAGA and call me this and call me that. But I'm just like, but you never once cared to find out why I made that decision, because it was not an easy decision. I didn't vote for him in 2016. I didn't vote for him in 2020. I voted for Hillary Clinton. I voted for Biden. And then I had to shift gears. And the biggest turning point for me was RFK Jr. Again, because I've seen this man's work for decades. I've seen the amount of love that he has poured into helping these families. That was a big turning point for me. And I really had to sit with this decision and decide, is this something I want to do? And I know a number of people that didn't vote for Trump, but that still voted for RFK, even though he endorsed Trump. And his endorsement of Trump is ultimately what made me choose to make that vote. And it was not an easy one to make. It was not one that I made lightly. It was not a decision that I took lightly. But then I look at, Coconut Tree Kamala on her book tour right now, and I'm just like, you know what? I think I picked the best option that made the most sense at the time. Because you look at the Biden administration, they hid him from the American people. They gaslit us into thinking that he was healthy. We have Jake Tapper, who literally lied to the American people and then wrote a book about it, thinking that was going to win him over. And then now is continuing to peddle the same bullshit that he peddled with the last administration. They hid Biden's cognitive decline from us. We don't know who was running the country. They planted Kamala Harris as the Democratic nominee without a formal process. And then they said that they were fighting for democracy. Like, you still expect me to trust that system? You still expect me to believe that system? No, I'm going to take my TDS blinders off, throw them out the window, and be like, let me look at the landscape, and I'm just going to make the best decision that I can make for myself at this point. And again, a big part of that reason, and I know a lot of people have been conditioned and gaslit into believing that RFK is this terrible person. And I'm not saying he's perfect, but again, I've known that man for a long time. That is where my vote went. And well, ultimately he endorsed Trump, which was the last. And I was like really on the fence about what I'm going to do. Am I not going to vote? Am I going to, put in a vote for RFK because that's, my retaliation vote. That's my middle finger vote. But and we have to wake up to the reality of what's happened over these past couple of years, but most importantly, what's happened over the last year. And I think when it comes to this conversation about autism, we have to absolutely continue to push forward these questions and to explore every avenue, because guess what? People want to say, I believe science, when what is the premise of science? The premise of science is it is hypothesis that is meant to be poked and prodded and questioned. Science told us a number of things that we now know to be false or were incomplete, right? And now the more information that we get and the more we question these things and the digger we deep and the more we debate over these things, that's where we get to more of this, clarity when it comes to science. But shutting it down because you don't like who's giving you the message is bullshit. Right? And just dismissing it as misinformation because you don't like who it's coming from. When, I'm sorry, just because it came out of RFK's mouth and Trump's mouth doesn't mean that it came out of nowhere. Okay? I will remind you, let's cite the 9 studies where this was explored prior over the last decade or so. So science is always changing. Science is always evolving, and we should continue to question things. But we've been conditioned now that questioning things is dangerous. The mainstream media is trying to convince us to believe that that's dangerous. Trust the experts, but only the experts we want you to listen to. Only the experts that we like. And that's not something that I'm pulling out of my ass, because we just found out yesterday when Google admitted that the Biden administration was censoring people, including medical experts, on YouTube. They had their platforms taken away because they went against the Biden administration's dogma when it came to science. When they're doctors, they're scientists, they're experts that have continued to question things and poke and prod, because that is the entire point of science. So again, my message to Brittany Cartwright is to not invalidate other people's experiences, because these moms have waited a long fucking time to have this conversation. They've waited a long time for somebody to say, I hear you, I see you, and your stories matter. I hear you, I see you, and your story matters. And I'll tell you again, Brittany, they will welcome you in with open arms, but don't start throwing stones at them, because they laid down the foundation and the groundwork for a lot of the services that are available to you today as a new mom of a young boy with autism. And that credit is absolutely deserved to them. That's one thing I will say I love about Jenny McCarthy, who has been a good friend of mine for the last 17 years. And to her credit, I will say, anytime anyone tried to give her the credit for being the face of this movement, she always said, nah, There were so many other moms whose shoulders I stood on. They lifted me up and carried me and let me be, or gave me an opportunity to use my platform to share my story. But really, she's doing it for all these other moms that have fought so hard for so many years, that were shunned and pushed into the shadows and ignored and gaslit into believing that their concerns are invalid. So I will give Jenny that credit, because she never wanted to be the face of autism, but she took on every beating that came her way because she was so fearless and unapologetic and so willing to put her heart on the table to get beaten up day after day. And yeah, there was an orchestrated smear campaign against her. And I'm glad that she finally started to talk about that, because there was. She's done a number of interviews about it now, but I've seen some of the clips circulate lately, and people are just like, oh my God, Jen McCarthy says that the government put a smear campaign against her. LOL. I was there. I remember watching it unfold. I remember how frustrating it was. And then I get mad at myself, because then I'm like, wait, how did I not see how deceptive the media was? I saw it then when they did it to her. I saw how they misbranded her and took her words out of context and twisted her into being this baby-killing anti-vaxxer, because that's what they wanted you to believe that she was, when that was never her case. If you actually know her story, you'll know her son had an adverse reaction, went into cardiac arrest, flatlined. Imagine your baby, that happening right in front of your eyes, and people then, laughed at her because she raised that concern. She never said vaccines are caused by autism. She never said that, but that's what the media conditioned you to believe about her. But if you actually listen to her story, because I remember we would go through all of her interviews and we would clip out exactly what she said. And in every single interview, she said, I am not anti-vaccine. I believe in the importance of vaccines. But unfortunately, you were fed to believe a different narrative, and that was by design. And I'm glad that she finally spoke about that publicly, because that's got to be hard, right? Especially now, her being on The Masked Singer. But the world is changing. We're pushing the dialogue, we're opening the conversation, and we have to keep pushing that dialogue. So again, Brittany, before you just dismiss something as misinformation, I would invite you to take a seat and maybe have a conversation with a number of these other moms that would champion you and would lift you up too, but don't spit on them while you're up there. And I'm sorry, but this post about autism being recorded before Tylenol and we deserve better than misinformation by our own government is spitting in the faces of all of the moms that opened up those floodgates that you walked through with the services that you now have for your baby boy. They will fight for your baby boy. I will fight for your baby boy. Okay? I know this journey very well. We will ride with you at dawn, my love. But don't discount these stories. Don't discount these experiences. Don't be that mom. I said I wanted to read a couple of stories, that I encouraged moms to share their stories, and I encouraged them to talk about how they were feeling about this conversation about autism and Tylenol. I'll read a couple of them for you. Maybe we'll go through some of the comments, but I got this message from Renee. She said, legit, I'm one of the moms from your younger days. I have the pics to prove it. I remember, Renee, we met, I think we met on social media, but I think we met for the first time at the National Autism Association conference in Florida, St. Pete Beach. Shout out to Wendy Fournier. She said, I have the pics to prove it. Amen to everything you said. Kids with autism today can have serious health comorbidities that can result in early I think kids on the spectrum think about drownings. And I remember with my own brother, he would run off and he would wander. And I remember my mom had to keep putting in gates to lock in, because he would dart outside the front door and he would unlock the front gate and he would run into the street. It's terrifying, the reality, that some of these families have to go through. And I remember watching it when my brother was young. She said, I think kids on the spectrum in the 40s and 50s were a lot healthier. My own son is gone, as he was riddled with horrible gut issues that didn't manifest until his senior year of high school. Our community just lost an 18-year-old to seizures last week. Another mom lost her daughter last fall. It's not a cute, quirky disease where you hope that your kid turns out like Sheldon from The Big Bang Theory. Tylenol isn't safe for babies, full stop. It's scientifically proven, and we've known it for years. These are the real hard stories, right? Here's from Jen. She said, I want to thank you for talking about autism. I think a lot of people think of autism as the, oh, I don't like loud noises, so I'm autistic, and I don't like crowds, so I'm autistic. Since it's a spectrum disorder, I think people default to what the lowest end of it is and see people who live perfectly full lives. They don't see people like my cousin, who's 31 years old, nonverbal, living in a group home, and can't take care of himself. He will never have a job. He will never get married. His parents will worry for the rest of their lives about what his future will look like. And that's the autism that isn't pretty and convenient to talk about. If there is something that may possibly cause this and you can avoid using it like Tylenol, then why is it a bad thing to put that information out there? Everything is just so polarized and political now, and it's just exhausting. So I'll pull up some of the other comments that people posted on Instagram. But I mean, these are the stories that we need to be talking about and that we need to be sharing, and the moments of believe women that we should be listening to right now. You know, Diana says, keep talking, keep sharing. Elizabeth says, autism mom here. Any discussion is discussion and should be encouraged. Run TMC says this. Thank you, Zack. As a mom of 2 autistic children, I just want answers, and seeing people dispute research just because Trump said it or mispronounced it is so heartbreaking. I love this from Biomed Healing for Kids. An autism mom and a practitioner who works with autism families every single day, I need to be clear after what was said today with Trump and RFK Jr. The point was not that Tylenol causes autism. The point was that Tylenol could be one contributing factor for some individuals. That's it. Not the only cause, and not everyone's story, just one piece of the puzzle. And yet here we are, people spinning it, mocking it, and shutting it down. If you never took Tylenol, then fine, it doesn't apply to you. But for another family, maybe it does. Why is it so hard to just let parents ask these questions without ridicule? What I'm tired of is the constant all or nothing debate. Autism is not 100% genetic, and it is not caused by just one single factor either. For some kids, it may be environmental exposures. For others, it may be medical or genetic vulnerabilities, or a mix of things together. Parents who ask questions aren't trying to go against the grain. They're simply sharing what they've observed in their child and asking for answers. Instead of dismissing or labeling them, we need more transparency, more long-term studies, and better research to truly understand the whole picture. At the end of the day, it's not about being pro or anti. It's about listening to families and making sure science stays open, honest, and accountable. We want to blame. We don't want to blame. We want answers. We don't want to shame. We want transparency. We don't want gaslighting. We want science. This is not about politics. This is about our kids, and we will never stop fighting for them. You know, Laura Jean says, I don't understand why people are just shutting down the possibility of Tylenol being a potential link/cause for some. It's like the way we look at cancer. There are so many different things that can be a cause from genetics to environmental, or a combination of things creating the perfect storm. The point is we don't know. So let's look under every rock. Let's chase every lead. Zack, thank you for sharing your heart on this, shedding light and compassion for people and their journey where it isn't just a hot topic, but their daily experience. Marcel says, I want to share my truth. When I was pregnant with my first son, I was only 24 years old, a first-time mom who trusted her doctors completely. I took Tylenol during pregnancy for toothache, followed every vaccine on the schedule because my pediatrician told me to, and even gave him the polyvisol with fluoride because that was what was recommended. My beautiful boy was diagnosed with profound autism at just 18 months. He will be 18 this December. He is nonverbal and requires one-on-one care. We've even done full genetic testing, and no issues were found with my 2 younger boys. I did everything differently. I followed my instincts, questioned the system, and made different choices, and they are fine. This isn't easy to write, but it's my lived experience. I was failed, and I trusted blindly, and my son is the one who has paid the price. I don't understand how anybody can read those stories or listen to that and continue to invalidate this or try to push or shun this conversation. So hopefully we can continue to have this dialogue. I hope there was some self-reflection. I hope that there was some bridge that we can use to come together with all of this new information. I am sending love. I hope you just take a beat, take a breath, maybe go watch some Jimmy Kimmel if that makes you feel better and can give you a good laugh. Do what your heart needs right now. But my love goes out to them. I will continue to shout on top of every mountaintop for them. I will continue to put my heart on the line for them. Let's see. We have L Hunter with the super sticker. Thank you, L Hunter. And we have Joy Schmehar, who dropped a super chat. And Joy says, Zack, please watch the RFK Rogan. He describes the changes in the type of mercury that used to be in the shots and then changed it. Excuse me. Direct results when the change was made to the rise of autism. Yeah, that's a great interview with RFK and Rogan. Thank you for sharing that, Joy. All right, guys, I love you. I appreciate you. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I will talk to you tomorrow. You can catch new episodes of No Filter with Zack Peter streaming live on YouTube and X weekday mornings. That's Monday through Friday. And then it is available on all podcast platforms. You can watch it on Spotify or you can listen on Apple and every other podcast platform. You can also get ad-free episodes on No Filter All Access, which is available at nofilterwithzack.com. There's a link in the description below. You can sign up for No Filter All Access on Supercast. So go right now. Love you. Appreciate you. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye, guys. Have a good one.